Ever felt like you're playing a financial guessing game? You know, the kind where you're trying to figure out how much you can actually do with your money, day to day? Like, you've got this brilliant idea, or a sudden opportunity, and you need to move some funds, fast. But then, this little voice in the back of your head whispers, wait, is there a limit to how much I can deposit? Especially with a newer, more agile bank like Relay, this question becomes super relevant. Because let's face it, we live in a world of instant transactions, of digital hustle, and of sometimes unexpected needs. We're not just talking about dropping off a few crumpled bills at the local branch anymore. We're talking about mobile deposits, online transfers, and the sheer volume of financial activity that happens in a single day. And with that comes the inevitable question, what are the rules? What are the boundaries? Think about it. You've just sold something online, or you're a small business owner, and you've got a decent chunk of change coming in. You want to deposit it, securely and efficiently, into your Relay bank account. But how much can you deposit? Is there a daily cap? What happens if you exceed it? Will your funds get held up? Will you face fees? This isn't just a technicality, it's about your financial freedom, your ability to manage your money when and how you need to. And here's the kicker, information on daily deposit limits can sometimes be surprisingly hard to pin down. It's often buried in the fine print, scattered across different pages of a website, or only accessible through customer service. That's why we're here today, to cut through the noise and give you the straight facts on Relay Bank's daily deposit limits. Now, before we dive into the specifics, let's take a moment to understand why these limits exist in the first place. Banks, like Relay, are subject to a complex web of regulations designed to protect both the institution and its customers. These regulations are in place to prevent money laundering, fraud, and other illicit activities. They also help to ensure the stability and security of the financial system as a whole. Daily deposit limits are a key component of these safeguards. They provide a mechanism for banks to monitor and control the flow of funds, allowing them to detect and investigate any suspicious transactions. These limits can vary depending on several factors, including the type of account you have, the method of deposit, and the bank's internal policies. So, let's get down to brass tacks. What are the daily deposit limits for Relay Bank? The answer, as with many things in the financial world, isn't always a simple one-size-fits-all. Relay Bank, like many modern financial institutions, employs a tiered system for deposit limits, which can fluctuate based on a few key variables. First, let's consider mobile deposits. If you're using Relay's mobile app to deposit checks, you'll generally encounter a daily limit. This limit is designed to mitigate the risk of fraudulent checks and to ensure that funds are properly verified. Typically, for mobile deposits, you might see a daily limit ranging from a few $1,000s to a higher amount depending on your account history and standing with the bank. It is critical to note that mobile deposit limits can be subject to change, and they're often determined by algorithms that analyze your account activity. Therefore, it's always best to check your app or contact Relay customer service for the most up-to-date information. Next, let's talk about electronic transfers. If you're transferring funds from another bank account to your Relay account, the limits can vary significantly. These transfers are often subject to stricter regulations, especially when dealing with large sums of money. Relay may have different limits for ACH transfers, wire transfers, and other electronic methods. ACH transfers, which are commonly used for recurring payments and direct deposits, may have lower daily limits compared to wire transfers, which are typically used for larger, one-time transactions. Wire transfers often have higher limits, but they may also come with higher fees. And then, of course, there are cash deposits. If you're depositing cash at a Relay branch or through an ATM, you'll also encounter daily limits. These limits are in place to prevent money laundering and to ensure the security of cash transactions. The specific limits for cash deposits can vary depending on the location and the type of ATM or branch you're using. Here's a crucial point. Relay, like all banks, is required to comply with federal regulations regarding suspicious activity reports, SARs. If you consistently make large cash deposits, even if they're within the daily limits, Relay may be required to file a SAR with the relevant authorities. This is a standard procedure, and it's not necessarily an indication of any wrongdoing on your part. It's simply a way for banks to help prevent financial crimes. Now, let's address a common concern. What happens if you exceed the daily deposit limit? The consequences can vary depending on the specific situation. In some cases, the transaction may be declined, and you'll need to find an alternative method for depositing your funds. In other cases, Relay may hold the funds for further review, which could delay their availability. It's also worth noting that exceeding the daily deposit limit could trigger a review of your account activity. This review is a standard procedure, and it's not necessarily a cause for alarm. However, it's always best to stay within the limits to avoid any potential delays or complications. So, how can you find out the exact daily deposit limits for your Relay bank account? The best approach is to contact Relay customer service directly. They can provide you with the most accurate and up-to-date information based on your specific account and transaction history. You can also check Relay's website or mobile app for any information on deposit limits. However, these resources may not always be completely comprehensive, so it's always best to confirm with customer service. Another important consideration is your account type. Different types of accounts may have different deposit limits. For example, business accounts may have higher limits than personal accounts. This is because businesses often handle larger volumes of transactions. Furthermore, your relationship with the bank can also play a role. If you have a long-standing relationship with Relay and a history of responsible account management, you may be eligible for higher deposit limits. In addition to daily limits, Relay may also have monthly or annual deposit limits. These limits are designed to further control the flow of funds and to prevent large, unusual transactions. It's essential to be aware of these limits, especially if you're dealing with significant sums of money. And finally, remember that regulations can change. Banks are constantly adapting to new laws and guidelines, so it's crucial to stay informed. The best way to do this is to check your account statements regularly, read any notifications from Relay, and contact customer service if you have any questions. So, to summarize, determining the exact daily deposit limits for Relay Bank requires a nuanced understanding of several factors, including the type of deposit, your account history, and the bank's internal policies. Contacting Relay's customer service is the most reliable way to obtain the specific information you need. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.